Welcome back. Time is 7:45. There's a new lawsuit filed in connection to toxic chemicals found inside Poe Hall at NC State University in Raleigh. According to a new filing, 12 plaintiffs are alleging that the chemicals in the building led to breast cancer diagnoses. The lawsuit shows the victims were unknowingly and repeatedly exposed to the chemicals while studying or working in Poe Hall.
The building closed in 2023 after environmental testing found chemicals in the HVAC system. The group is demanding a jury trial in the civil case.
Let's bring in our Queen City News Chief Legal Analyst, Khalif Rhodes, to weigh in. Good morning, Khalif.
Morning.
So what obligations did NC State have to ensure the safety of anyone going in and out of Poe Hall? And then as far as the students, the plaintiffs, they're obviously saying they didn't do that. They didn't keep us safe.
Duty, breach, causation, damages. You guys have heard me say it hundreds of times here. It's tort. This is all the same type of tort. It's just the worst kind. It's a wrongful death claim for a number of these folks that are passed away based on what they're alleging that happened at NC State. They're saying, yes, you owed us a duty to ensure that nothing that was reasonably foreseeable would happen to us, specifically these chemicals. And so their attorney said that none of this was inevitable, that all of this was preventable. And so I'll read a couple dates. In 1971, Poe Hall opens. 1979, EPA bans those products that they're using, those PCBs. 91, NC State tests a transformer and recognized that there's some toxic chemicals there. Here's where it gets bad. 09, EPA issues guidance urging schools to test their buildings for these chemicals. 2018, exterior testing of Poe Hall shows that the toxic levels are 100 times what the EPA recommended. 2023, employees with cancer complaints prompt interior testing, and then that's when they closed the facility. And so looking at these dates, what plaintiffs are saying is that you knew or should have known that there was something wrong with the building probably as far back as 1991. Even if you were looking at a conservative estimate, probably 2009. So they're saying, why do we wait till 2023? That would check that box of knew or should have known that something bad could happen. And then all the other standards would be their damages, death obviously being the worst type of damages. And then, but for your action, that C portion, that causation, if you would have closed the building, they're saying we wouldn't have got cancer and would have not died.
And all those things, it's a laundry list. It doesn't look good. If you're defending NC State in this, though, is it hard to prove that someone really got cancer from being in these buildings and working there for years? Can you say, you can't tell me that you wouldn't have gotten cancer from something else outside of working here? Yeah,
I mean, we want to approach that. We don't live in a bubble, that there are a million other things that can contribute to that. But when you have these types of clusters where it's multiple people, multiple students, faculty and staff that will allege to have had the same type of cancer or the same type of injuries, then it's going to be hard to make that argument. The easier argument for them would be, we did everything that the EPA recommended, that we responded when we were supposed to. This building was built outside of compliance. Every time they required us to do something to bring it up to compliance, we did that, and that our duty was to ensure that we were with the standard that the EPA recommended. And now I think the only issue would be between 09 and 2023 is, what should you have done there, which would be hard for them to argue. But everything else up until that point, I think they were doing what was recommended.
Khalif, some people who may have had family members who lived in Poe Hall, maybe they were in Poe Hall themselves, and they're saying, okay, I see this lawsuit, maybe I can be a part of it. Khalif, can you speak to the fact that you actually have to have some damages that you can prove related to it? Not everybody can just jump on this lawsuit.
Again, duty, breach, causation, and damages. And so if you had a family member that went there and they've since passed, and their estate can bring a claim. But if you were there and you have a documented history of damages, went to the doctors, they've treated you for some type of illness that you believe is connected to that, then you would be able to obviously join in a claim. But if you don't have any damages, you don't have anyone in your family that's connected that has damages, then you wouldn't be able to be a part of that claim. But this is a wide net. I mean, you're talking about from the 70s all the way to right now. And this is not the first lawsuit. Let me start with there. They've been suing them for the last couple of years, attempting to preserve evidence, get access to the building. We want to make sure that you guys don't destroy anything so we can bring the claim. But this is the first that someone has directly been sick that's saying, now we're going to bring this lawsuit.
Who would make the payment to pay the damages? Because you have the plaintiffs that are pointing at NC State. NC State is pointing at the manufacturers, which is Monsanto, I believe, saying, wait a second, they're the ones that built it. Not that they're necessarily trying to shift the blame, but how does that work?
No, you're all over it. I mean, that's something called subrogation, and so it really would just depend on who wins or who loses. So say if NC State loses this first lawsuit, then NC State would then request that the insurance company or the manufacturer, I would say, subrogate their costs. If they don't voluntarily turn it over, NC State would then sue them. And we've seen that already, that they already are pointing fingers. And so there's going to be a lot of pointing of fingers way before this ends.
All right, our Chief Legal Analyst, Kale Frodes, thanks for weighing in on that this morning.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.